Well, I'm from a small town, small high school, but it was a very academically competitive high school, and especially among my friends. So growing up, all throughout high school, a lot of those students were, very motivated, very driven. In fact, of the 7 valedictorians that my graduating high school class of 50 had, I was very close friends with about 4 or 5 of them. So throughout high school, the common conversation, everything throughout junior and senior year, college visits, all of that came up pretty naturally, and I knew that that was something I was interested in. And although my parents, didn't go to college, they were very supportive and, definitely rooting me on and open to, helping me decide wherever was the best school for me, which eventually became the University of Kentucky. And the more I looked into college, the more I, started discovering this whole life that, could be, and kind of this dream, of, wow, I get to leave, this smaller town and get to study something new and be in a new place. I was pretty much in love with the idea, and my family was very supportive, and I also, leaned on some people for resources and had a lot of questions starting out too, but I knew that college was the next step for me. I would have to say that it would be first and foremost my dad, and he was from Eastern Kentucky originally, joined the Army shortly after high school, drove a coal truck for a while. He just had very humble roots and humble beginning, and worked hard his whole entire life, still works very hard. He's worked his way up in the industry that he's in, and without a degree that could be very challenging, but I just really admire his managerial skills, the way he works with people, and how empathetic he is to everyone from all walks of life. So just going through, I knew that he wanted he wanted me to succeed very much, and wanted kind of that life that he wasn't able to have. And I remember asking him once, hey Dad, if you could go back and do it all over again, what would you do? What would you choose to do? And he said that he would have loved to be a high school history teacher, and I just thought that that was the coolest thing, because not only does he, value education, and unfortunately he wasn't able to have the college experience that I've now been able to have, but so much so that he would have, liked to pass that on. So. My memories of that first semester especially was just the academic constraints and what was expected of me as a student, and understanding that maybe studying for an exam took a little bit more than an hour the night before, and really having to come to terms that studying and being a student was a very high priority, and adjusting to that was especially difficult. I lived in Holmes Hall over on North Campus, which was great because I automatically found that community. I didn't spend a lot of time in my dorm room. I was either across the hall at friends that I'd made, or in the lobby, or on campus, and I really attribute that to a lot of my success early on as a student, which motivated me to get involved, and then I couldn't say no, so I just extended that involvement onto campus as well. But just thinking back to that first semester especially, and I did get a roommate my second semester, but even that first freshman year, the community that I had in the residence hall, and then extending to North Campus, and then all the way across campus, it kind of all started there in Holmes. A key person in my academic success, especially right off the bat, was my advisor, Matthew Defendahl. He really helped me to kind of connect to the idea that, hey, you are a student first, and just sitting down with him and checking in on, how's this class going? Here, circle the classes that you really need to, pay a little bit more attention to, or go to the study, reach out, maybe talk to some students who have been in the class before, get to know my professors, and some of those key points that I had missed early in the semester, he was able to, kind of help bring back around for me. And I started out in the College of Undergraduate Studies, which, looking back, was such a blessing, because not only did I, not really know what I wanted to study, but that office, the advisors there were really able to point me in the right direction, put me on the right track. I know Matthew would also, he was very concerned about me academically, but then he would also ask, well, how's everything else? How's, sorority life? How are you getting involved? How's your residence hall? So he was truly, concerned about me as a student in all senses of the word. that first week of school, I was able to get involved with Student Government's Leadership Development Program. So that was a group of 40 students. I kind of made the campus a little bit smaller through those peer groups too, and then meeting students who were maybe sophomores or juniors, and they were able to mentor me, or if I had a question about my eventual major or just about what I should get involved in, they were there as a resource. Finance in college was something that was very new for my family, was very new for me, obviously, and luckily my brother will have an easier time because I think that we've learned through some mistakes and some little bumps in the road, especially pertaining to that. But I just, went through it. I paid as much as I could. I worked, the summers, and then having a job on campus, helped a little bit as well. But just put as much as I could toward each semester, and made up, for the rest through those federal loans. And they're welcoming me on this other side of the stage of graduation. And I say that luckily, I really was able to make the most of my college experience, and I will be reminded each month, about that commitment that I made. But I can at least, pay that off knowing that hopefully now I can help students and make students aware that there is, another option, or there are other options, external scholarships within the university, within your college, a lot of opportunities to, be able to avoid some of those student loans. That was a little bit intimidating at first, and I think, just not fully understanding what I would meet at college. I remember my first semester thinking, oh, if I go to the doctor, and now I'm being taught English by a doctor, and understanding that, there's some major differences, and that, wow, these faculty members have gone to school for a long time. They're, so passionate about their area. They've had a lot of extensive research, all of those things kind of piled up. I mean, it is a little bit intimidating. Luckily, most of the faculty that I've run into, most of the, the professors that I've had have been very sincere in saying, no question is a bad question, and feel free to approach me, if there are any situations. But I think it took me probably well into the second semester even to feel comfortable, to feel like I could, fully approach a professor. I would often lean on maybe the teaching assistant, or a GA if there was someone in that position, or a classmate, to see if maybe they had that same question. But by the end of my 4 years, I was able to email professors and then find out a little bit more about their interests, about their lives. Some of my favorite, my most memorable teachers and professors were really people who I was able to make that connection with. So. The first thing that I would say is, don't feel like you are at a disadvantage, and don't feel like, the successes or the failures of your family members, of people who have been around you from your small town or your big city, don't feel like that is going to define who you are as a student. I would really just encourage you to, connect to your potential, identify the gifts and talents that you have, and just make this college experience your own. And the most fantastic resources are going to be the people that you seek out and ask for help. And then I would also just say, make sure you apply for those scholarships, because that's going to help you on the other end of things as well. And just really make the most of it, because you have an outstanding opportunity to do something that maybe your family hasn't been able to do before, and to really place a high value on education.